Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to write homepage copy, or rather it's a critique. I have been sent a draft of a homepage which has been written by a new writer, so someone who's fairly new to copywriting, and they have asked me to give them some feedback on the draft that they have so far. Now, they have given me permission to make this video available on YouTube, so for that reason I won't be referring to the writer's name. But just to provide you with a bit of background, the writer has chosen this particular project as a portfolio piece. So they haven't been working from a real client brief. Rather, they have chosen it so that they can showcase it in their portfolio for potential clients in the future. Now, the homepage is for a travel consultancy, and I have had a very quick look at the copy just to make sure that it is suitable for giving feedback on. But other than that, I haven't taken any notes, so this is essentially a live critique to help the writer and to hopefully help everyone else watching get a bit of an insight into how to structure homepage copy and what to look out for. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's start by reading through the copy that we have so far, and then I will give my initial thoughts on structure, and I'll get a bit more specific about the content itself. So, welcome to Sunrise Getaways. Holidays made simple, personal, and memorable. At Sunrise Getaways, we help UK holidaymakers plan trips they can actually look forward to. Whether you're after a relaxing beach break, a romantic weekend away, or something more adventurous, we make it easy to book with confidence. We're a small, independent travel agency with a focus on friendly personal service. We take the time to understand what you're looking for, then match you with travel options that suit your style, schedule, and budget. What we offer: we can help with flights and hotels, package holidays, airport transfers, and car hire, travel advice, and planning support. From short breaks in Europe to long-haul destinations further afield, we'll help you compare your options and find the best deal for your money. Destinations we recommend: some of our most popular destinations include Spain, including the Balearics and Canary Islands, Greece and its islands, Portugal and the Algarve, Italy from city breaks to coastal escapes. We also book trips to the USA, Thailand, Australia and beyond. Whether you want a ready-made package or something more bespoke, just let us know. Why book with us? You won't find complicated booking systems or hard sells here. We're a small team, which means you'll speak to the same people each time. Call centres, no scripts, just straightforward advice based on experience. We know that travel plans don't always fit into neat boxes, so we're flexible in how we work with you. Tell us what you need and we'll guide you through your options. If something doesn't work, we'll say so. Start planning today. Whether you already know where you want to go or need help deciding, we're here to help. You can contact us by phone, email, or through our website, whichever suits you best. Sunrise Getaways, let's make your next holiday a great one. Okay, so first of all, in terms of length, for a homepage, I think, like sort of 310 words-ish is pretty good. I think probably wouldn't want it much shorter than 300 words for SEO purposes. But it certainly seems like everything you would want to say in a homepage is essentially there. In terms of aesthetics, I like how it looks in terms of how it's laid out. It's quite inviting to read. There's no big blocks of text that would put me off, diving into it. So, from a sort of first impression point of view, that looks good. The writer has made use of headings and subheadings, which is always a good start. There's bullet points in there as well, which provides a bit of eye relief for the reader. And there seems to be a call to action as well, which is always very welcome. Okay, so let's just break it down section by section. And we'll look at this hero section first. So let me just put on my track changes, actually. And I can send this directly to the writer afterwards. Okay, so yeah, the hero section, which is the headline and the subheading. You have welcome to Sunrise Getaways, holidays made simple, personal and memorable. Okay, so my first thought here is that you do come across a lot of websites, and the first word on the website is welcome. Now, I can understand the logic behind putting that word in there. However, what I would be tempted to do here is to make the homepage a unique selling point, or to make the headline a unique selling point. When someone lands on this page, they're either going to find it through like a Google search or through a referral from another link, through an ad, or they'll type the URL directly into a browser. So my point is, when they land on this page, there's a very high chance that they already know what this travel consultancy does. So for that reason, you don't really need to explain that in the homepage. What you do need to do, though, is get straight to the point in differentiating the company from its competitors. So rather than saying welcome to Sunrise Getaways, I would be tempted to have a think about what it is that makes this company unique. Um, for example, could be that this company has a smooth process. It could be that they're more cost effective than other services out there. Whatever the unique selling point is, that I think should be the headline. So let me just add a comment here. Try to make this headline a USP. Have a little think about what it is that makes the company unique in comparison to its competitors. And then into the subheading, holidays made simple, personal, and memorable. I like the rule of three here. I like the simple, personal, and memorable. It kind of reads like a tagline, which isn't bad. But if you do decide to go for the unique selling point as a headline, then what I think the subheading should do is it should like reinforce the message in the headline. Essentially, it should kind of be an extra benefit, something that kind of reinforces that initial message. Um, so yeah, a good starting point could be to think about the benefits of the service, specifically in relation to the unique selling point that you end up choosing for the headline. So um, focus more on benefits in subheading in relation to the USP. Um, so yeah, that would be my sort of initial thoughts on that hero section. And also, again, depending on how it looks in design, what I'd be tempted to do is to add a call to action button right underneath that hero section so that as soon as people visit the homepage, they know exactly what you want them to do, and there's no question about it. So yeah, this sort of introductory text that we have here, first thing I'd be tempted to do is to break it into a paragraph of three. Probably heard about the rule of three in copywriting. Aesthetically, I always think paragraphs of three, it looks better. People are used to seeing things laid out in threes. Three is a number, it's easy to remember. You can usually retain three pieces of information fairly easily. And it's one of those sort of like copywriting formulas that I use all the time. I always try and split them into threes. So that would be the first thing I would say. Okay, so what I would do here in this first section, to me at the moment, what it's kind of communicating is what the company does. It's saying we help UK holidaymakers plan trips. It's giving a bit of information about the company. We're an independent travel agency, etc., which is good. But I think for it being still above the fold on a website, I would be tempted to make this like a problem solution structure. So rather than it being about what the company does, I would change the formula about it a little bit. Now, what I mean by problem solution is in this like opening paragraph, I'd be trying to build empathy with the reader by referring to a frustration that they might have. So, obviously they're here to book a holiday. Common frustration could be that as a process, it's quite time consuming. It takes quite a while to research hotels, flights, and everything that goes with it. So you could allude to that pain point in this paragraph, build empathy with the customer, to show that you understand their needs, and then introduce sunrise getaways as the solution to that problem. And you would maybe be wanting to talk about how like simple, straightforward it is to book with sunrise getaways, emphasize the fact that the company will take away the stress from booking a holiday. That would be my approach for that sort of introductory paragraph there, rather than it being focused on what the company does and what services it offers. Okay, yeah, so in this second section here, what we offer, yeah, I think logically that's a good place to put that type of like subheading. We can help with flights and hotels, package holidays, airport transfers. Yeah, so that's essentially the services of the company. I do like that. My first thought is that it's very much focused on the company, and it's using the word we quite a lot. What I would be tempted to do is to change the conversation from we to you. So flip it around. Rather than it being about what we do as a company, make it about how you'll benefit from it as a customer. As consumers, when we're reading a page of sales copy, we're always thinking, what's in it for us? So I like the idea of this, but what I would do is I would flip it around. I would change the conversation from we to you, and try and draw out the benefits a little bit more. So we can help with flights and hotels. How does that benefit the customer? If you ask the question, so what? That can help you like pick out the benefits of the fact that we can help you find flights and hotels. The fact that we can help you find package holidays. Yeah, well, so what? If you think about it from that perspective, so what? Then that can help you draw out the benefits a little bit. So, yeah, let me just add a little comment here. We'll change the focus from we draw out the benefits. Yeah, I think that's a good place to have that type of copy in terms of the structure. Destinations we recommend. Um, so this is obviously like a sort of section that the reader wants to highlight, and that's fine, especially if the destinations are a selling point. If a travel consultancy offers trips to, say, Portugal, Algarve, the competition doesn't offer those particular destinations, then yeah, by all means, that is like a good sort of selling point to highlight. I think maybe what I would be tempted to do before this section is to introduce the services, as in, yeah, what we offer. Okay, so yeah, that kind of has already been covered in the section before it. So yeah, for destinations we recommend, yeah, if that is something that is unique to this travel consultancy, then yeah, by all means put it in there. However, when I'm reading the copy, it's not immediately clear that this is like a unique selling point. So I would be tempted to just drive home the fact that this is something that customers perhaps won't find with other consultancies. And then perhaps in the design, this could be a section that sort of complements that unique selling point a little bit. Yeah, so far so good. Interesting that individual companies as well, sort of individual countries, that will be good for SEO. And these potentially could be hyperlinks that link through to like destination specific pages on the website. Okay, why book with us? Yeah, so this is a logical place to put it towards the end of the page. Um, yeah, what we'd be trying to do here is build a bit of trust. So just again, aesthetically, the first thing I would do is I would split this into three. So rather than having it as a paragraph of two, make it into a paragraph of three. Won't find complicated booking systems or hard sales here. We're a small team. We know travel plans always tend to meet boxes. Building empathy, I like that. Um, what I would do after this copy is I would add in some social proof. So things like testimonials from like previous customers. Maybe a couple of short case studies that don't take up too much space, or that maybe link to another page on the website, or like a sort of carousel with customer quotes, that kind of thing, which can also be quite visual. I think it'll break up the copy, but it'll also strengthen the messaging of this section as well. Like people tend to lead by example. So if we see that other people have used this service, we will be more likely to see the value that it offers. Um, it is just a little bit more persuasive in general. Um, yeah. Now, I think after this why book with us section, or potentially even before, what I would probably do is allude to like the process of booking in the form of a section that reads how it works, or something along those lines. I'll come back to the sort of like language and stuff once we went through structure, but I think before the why book with us, I would have a section about how it works. And what this would be trying to do is give the reader a bit of peace of mind. If you can make it sound like it's a simple, straightforward process, puts the reader's mind at ease, it kind of removes any hesitation that they might have to sending you an email or picking up the phone. And it kind of makes that homepage just feel a little bit more comprehensive. Essentially everything you would need to know about this company is now on this homepage, and there's no reason that they wouldn't pick up the phone to make an inquiry. So yeah, I would put a section there about how it works before getting to the part about why book with us. Yeah, and then we have the call to action at the end. Start planning today. Ready already? Know where you want to go. Help deciding. My initial thought here is that it's a little bit wordy. I would be tempted to, reduce the word count here a little bit. And kind of get to the point quicker. Now, there doesn't seem to be like a sort of call to action button or anything here. So I would add in like, I realize this will be part of the design, but I would add in a call to action button or a phone number or an email address so that the reader knows exactly what you want them to do. And then, yeah, at the end, we have this kind of tagline, sunrise getaways, let's make your next holiday a great one. I don't think it's really adding much here at the end after the call to action, so I would be tempted just to take this out altogether. It could be something that you reintroduce into the messaging elsewhere on the page, but at this stage, I don't really think it's adding much to the copy. So that's my initial thoughts on structure. Like overall, I don't think it's a bad job at all. I think most of what you would want to say on a homepage is in there. Other than the addition of that how it works section, I think it's fairly well structured, especially for someone who's new to copywriting. If this is like one of the first kind of briefs that you've given yourself, I think this is it's a really good attempt. And there are just a few like additional points that I want to add, more in relation to like the language and the tone that's being used throughout it. First thing I would say is just in relation to the tone of voice. So, having read through it, I like how it's direct and it's, the language is simple. I would be tempted to inject a little bit more personality into it. It is a travel consultancy, and when people are booking holidays, they kind of associate, their mindset is probably one of anticipation, excitement, maybe frustration if they've been looking like at competitors and haven't quite found what they want yet. So I think there is quite a bit of opportunity to get a bit more of a brand tone of voice in here. Um, so as a starting point, I would look at competitor websites and take some notes on what their tone of voice is like. And then have a think about it and try and come up with 3 words that would define the tone of voice for this particular brand. It might be, um, adventurous, spirited, um, conversational. Just 3 words, and then work your way back through the copy, thinking about your word choice, and thinking about sentence structure, and how you can start to apply that tone to the copy overall. Because I think this is a solid start, but I do think there's scope to get a little bit more brand personality in there. And I realise that this is obviously a portfolio piece, and you wouldn't have been provided with a brand guideline or anything like that. But I think there's an opportunity to get a bit more personality in there. I think the second thing would just be in relation to word choice, particularly in like the subheadings and the call to action at the end. So subheadings like what we offer, destinations we recommend, how it works. I realise that was me that put that one in there. Quite big with us. Um, I like these because they're simple and straightforward. Again, once you have the tone of voice sorted, I think you could probably be a bit more thoughtful with these subheadings. What you would maybe potentially want to do is to turn these subheadings into benefits that act as a better link into the body copy below. It's a tricky thing to do, and it does take a bit of rewriting and a bit of ideation, but it gives you an opportunity to showcase the tone of voice, and to provide like a nicer link into the body copy underneath. Now, I also noticed somewhere that there was like a little spelling mistake here. Yeah. Time to understand what you're looking for, then match you with travel options. I mean, it's a very small thing, and I'm not a grammar pedant by any means, but yeah, just be aware of that before you send a draft to a client. Make sure it's properly proofread. Like Microsoft Word has a built-in proofreading tool. There's tools out there like Grammarly, which will check your spelling and tone for you. So yeah, just watch out for little spelling mistakes before you would send it off to the client or before you put it in your website as a portfolio piece. And yeah, just like make sure that you're writing for a UK audience, that you've used UK spellings, or if you're writing for a US audience, make sure there's no UK spellings that slip into the copy. And that's something that I'm guilty of doing sometimes as well. And it just takes that extra bit of like sense checking to make sure that you haven't let anything slip in. Yeah, overall, I would say, and this is something that I touched on before, but try and like change the perspective a little bit. So at the moment, it is quite focused on we as a company, what we can offer the customer. If you can change that sort of like third person perspective into a second person perspective so that you're using the word you more often in the text, that will build a bit more empathy with the customer. It's a bit more customer focused, it's a bit more personal, and it'll also help you bring out some more of the benefits of using the service as well. So that's something to bear in mind. I would go back through the draft and identify opportunities to use the word you a bit more so that there's a bit of personalization in. But yeah, like overall, I do think it's a good first draft for someone who's new to copywriting. What I would say is the devil's in the details. I realize this is a very top level overview, but keep keep redrafting it, and the more tweaks you start to make to it, and the more the copy will start to sound cohesive and come together. Okay, so that wraps things up for this video on writing homepage copy. Hopefully the writer has found the critique useful, and hopefully everyone else watching has found it useful to get a bit of my insights into how to structure a piece of homepage copy. If you have found the video useful, be sure to like and hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.